There have been so many difficult assignments, but I think the most difficult assignment might have been the first time I was in a war zone, which was when I went to Kosovo. It was soon after Bosnia, and I felt strongly that we were not covering the story of ethnic cleansing with the kind of intensity that we should as a news organization. And it was frightening in many ways to see such hate, really.
Such hatred. Do you think it'll ever change?
I think it will. I know it will. I know this kind of hate is already changing. I know that there once was a time when acting in a racist, violent, aggressive manner, including towards women, in war was expected. And now it's a war crime. So I already know that it's changing. It's just the problem is that it's going to take a long time before it gets to where we want it to go.
Is it your impression that men and women suffer different consequences from violence like this?
I think that men and women suffer differently depending on the nature of the war. So say, for example, in Kosovo, the men were more likely to be targeted and the boys were more likely to be targeted because they had to die because they wanted to be wiped out. In other words, they wanted to wipe out a generation, so they killed the men and the boys and they raped the women so the women would bear children that were not Albanian, so there was a real effort to kind of change the future by killing the men and boys.
It's an old theme.
It is an old theme, and it has been practiced over and over and over again. And but I will also say that men and women react to this kind of react to trauma differently. This kind of intense trauma differently. Men tend to, in my experience, want to defend and protect, even aggressively, those they love. The women, I have found, have tried very much to protect mostly children. They really focus on taking care of the children, trying to have them survive. They'll be more willing to give the children their food, do whatever it takes to help the children survive. So there's a real effort by women to ensure the safety of the future. You know, when you pick up your camera and you focus it on, say, for example, in one moment, I can tell you, on a person in a refugee camp in Darfur, and you take their picture and they say thank you because they don't know how long they're going to live, but they mattered enough to be documented and that they are known by someone in this moment.
We are interested in not just women and women's health, and we've made enormous progress in implementing better care for women, but we're now interested in a new way because of our study of women in men. And I'd like to ask you if you think we exploit men, exploit their willingness to step up and take a risk and take a bullet, to volunteer for the most dangerous jobs, often when they're too young to really assess the risk.
I do think so. I think that it's not only that we exploit them, we create them to be this.
That's right.
I think that I'm the mother of a boy who's now 19, and I've watched him go through these changes from when he was that sweet little baby boy to the young man that he's become. And as I've watched him, and as I watch men, especially with all the focus that we've put on women and women's ability to, young girls' ability to rise and be what they want to be, I don't think we've let young men be what they want to be. I think that we make them be what we want them to be. And I think the perpetrators are not just men. I think women are the perpetrators. I think women send a message to men when they're young, when they're boys, that their feelings don't matter quite as much, that their hurts are not as painful as a girl's hurts when she falls on the playground, that when they have feelings, we don't listen to them as much. And certainly, boys may or may not want to talk about their feelings for a lot of reasons. Maybe to some degree it's intrinsic in how boys are made. Maybe to some degree it's also the world that tells them that their feelings don't matter as much. But I think that there's something true in the idea that women are conditioned to want boys to be strong and to be defenders and to be out there in front and protectors. I think there's something true to that because it's how we talk to them, how mostly women teachers in our grade schools talk differently to boys than they talk to girls.
That's been well established.
And that is damaging. I believe that's damaging. I think that we have to look at ourselves as women and how we raise our sons and to ask ourselves whether we're putting on them what inadvertently what we want them to become, and are we not listening enough to who they should be? Look, I think that it's also well documented that boys at a certain time in their life, around 14, 15, 16, 17, really struggle with their own pent up emotions. And we've seen a lot of evidence of this, that girls are able to really verbalize all the things that are going on inside,
That's right, they are.
and boys are not. Now, why is that? Is that something that's part of the genetic makeup of boys, or some part of the DNA in boys? Or is this something that they're not allowed to do? Well, we do know one thing. If they don't somehow talk about these feelings and somehow come to grips with who they are and what they really want and what they like and what they don't like, they struggle. There's no question about that. And there is a real problem with boys today in terms of their inability to compete equally with girls in terms of college applications and all those things, and grade level achievement in school. So something is not happening in a manner that supports our boys. I think my most important accomplishment was to be true to my father's message, his lesson, which was, he said, Anne, whatever you do in life, do something that is of some service to somebody else, because then and only then will you know, when you breathe your last breath on your last day, that it mattered that you were born.